Meetings. Meetings can be a right pain, can't they? And they can be really difficult. In fact, they can be a total nightmare, especially if you're the one who's got to chair the meeting. And if it's an SEND meeting or an EHCP meeting of any type, these can be some of the most stressful, the most heated, the most really challenging to chair effectively. So in this session, we want to kind of talk to you a little bit about, what we know about chairing difficult SEND and EHCP meetings. I'm Colin Newton. I'm an educational psychologist. I've been at this for about 36 years, and I've chaired many a complex meeting. So, I know something of this kind of area. And we know that the spirit of judgment can be very strong in the room before we do anything. People feeling judged, feeling like, people are not wanting to get the best out of them before a single word is said. Hence the judge's wig, which I'm now going to take off. So, what do we know about these kind of meetings and how to get the best out of them? Well, the first thing to remember is when we're chairing a meeting, we're actually facilitating that meeting. We're trying to get the very best out of all the participants, but we're also leading that meeting. We're in charge. We're running the meeting. So it's us who's going to make sure that agenda is clear, is sent out well in advance wherever possible, and there are no surprises. So getting a clear agenda is going to be very important. But I think even before the agenda goes out, anything we can do to prepare in advance for anything we know that might be difficult, and that of course includes the people who are going to be at that meeting, anything we can do with them in advance to make sure the meeting goes smoothly, so much the better. So sometimes that's particular conversations, either with parents, with carers, with particularly challenging professionals, or whatever we need to do really, to make sure that we're going to get the very best out of this meeting. And then some other tips would be to make sure we start sharply on time at the very start of the meeting. Time is very important, I think, with meetings. Start on time and finish when you've said you're going to finish as well. If key players are not present, think very carefully. Could you begin without them? If they're very key, like the parent, like the carer, like the special needs coordinator, absolutely key, then maybe delay a bit before starting. But if they're not key, it's the teacher who can't make, or social worker, or another person that you can perhaps probably carry on with the meeting without, press on, start on the agreed time, and then finish on the agreed time. People won't thank you for straying over the agreed end time. You must come in dead on time. If you don't think you're going to make it, make sure you get to the action planning section. So at least you've got some actions planned before the end time. And one of those actions would be agreeing another time to convene the meeting. So that's very important. I think the other point I would get across would be the importance of clear boundaries. These are maybe boundaries around time, boundaries around what exactly we're talking about at this point in the meeting. So is this the agenda point we're talking about, or have we strayed into something else? Discussion shouldn't just be free-flowing. We should be focused on what we're talking about. If we're talking about teaching assistant hours, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the fact that Dad's coming out of prison next week. So keep the focus on what we're actually talking about. Keep the boundary around the agenda item. There's also boundaries between people, looking after people, making sure there's respect between people. And often this will relate to making sure we've set sensible ground rules at the very start before we did do anything else. I think also in the chairing role, there's a certain amount of pushing and pulling. There's times when we need to push and be very assertive with the group, assertive around decisions that need to be made, assertive around actions that need to be taken. And there's also times when we pull and we kind of pull back and we hold back and we wait and we let what needs to be discussed be discussed. If feelings start flying around, and let's face it, there's often a lot of emotion in these kind of meetings, we need to remember this is not personal at all. But because you're in the chair role, because you represent authority, all kinds of feelings can kind of flash out in your direction. But just remember, it's not personal. You may be reminding the person who's flashing at you about authority, maybe their own parents, their own school experiences, all kinds of things can be reminded. But because you're in the chair, sitting at this end of the table, you're going to remind them of that. And remember, always agree actions before you end the meeting. Never let a meeting just kind of drivel away. So there it is. There's lots more for you, and we've got lots more in our fuller, more detailed training on chairing meetings that we can deliver face-to-face, or you can find on our online school. The 3 themes of kind of exploring the emotional elements of these kind of meetings, thinking about communication skills, and thinking of specific strategies for managing challenging EHCP and SEND meetings. There's plenty for you, and there's plenty of skills you can learn in this area as well. It's not just only certain people can do it. There are plenty of skills you can learn, and there's plenty there we can teach you if you'd like to get into it. And then, of course, remember, there's other times you might want to do away with the table altogether and be much more progressive and be completely person-centered in your work. And look at some of our other YouTube videos for more information about that, and also look on the website for more on that as well. So if you've liked this video, you know what to do. Just like it, subscribe. We'll send you more content when it's available. And yeah, if you want to commission a specific YouTube video, just let us know in the comments, and we'll try and create something for you. Thanks for listening.